to see you. I really appreciate you making the time to come and hear a little bit more about Asirda. How's everything going?
Good, good.
So I read a little bit, and as we talked on the phone, I'm really curious to hear more about your work and what you've been doing at Human Rights Law. But I'd also love to tell you a little bit about the fellowship and about the school that we're working to found. Is that okay if we go ahead and get started with that?
Yeah, sounds great.
So right now I'm doing a fellowship with Building Excellent Schools, as I mentioned in my email and in our conversation. Building Excellent Schools is a national nonprofit that supports school leaders in founding charter schools that work to close the achievement gap and specifically work in low-income urban communities. The fellowship is a multi-year long program, and in the first year I'm working to build support in the community and get the charter authorized. And then in the second year we look for a facility and hire staff, and then in the third year the school is launched with students. And the school that I'm working towards opening is an elementary school. It's called Asirda, and Asirda in Spanish means to hit the target and to find the solution. And
love it.
Yeah, and I'm really excited. There's a huge opportunity, a huge need in Richmond. Right now, there are only about 20% of students who are proficient in reading and math at the elementary level. So I feel a really strong sense of urgency about bringing an option to the community that will focus on providing really rigorous instruction and making sure that students, when they leave elementary school, are ready for the demands of middle school, high school, and are going to be really set up for success in college and have the opportunity to go to college and also find a career that they care about. And so that's kind of just the basics of Asirda. The two kind of main focus areas of the school are that we're going to be using the best practices that I'll see at the different schools that I go to throughout the first year of the fellowship. And these are schools that Building Excellent Schools has chosen for fellows to see because they have a really strong track record of working with low-income students and closing the achievement gap in their communities. So I'll be kind of building and taking away the best practices from each of those school visits, and then also working to create a program with the school that will address summer loss, because a lot of our students make growth during the school year, but then actually regress over the summer months because they don't have access to the same opportunities like summer camps and exciting enrichment programs that their upper middle class peers might have access to. And so we're going to create a charter and a school model that will address those two big points. So I wanted to talk to you today because before we get to the point of showing the district and then potentially later the county our charter, we need to start with getting community support and making sure that we have people with diverse skills and interests supporting the school. And when I was looking at the work you've done at the Human Rights Law Center, it looked both really exciting and also made me think that you might potentially be interested in contributing your work and your ideas to Asirda. So on that end, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about your experience and your ideas about schools. Do you have any questions so far about Asirda or the work that I'm doing with Building Excellent Schools?
Do you have anyone else on board yet, or is this just kind of?
It's just starting, so I'm just in the process now of talking to different interested parties and seeing who might be a good fit for the board. By December, I'm hoping to have about 10 people on the board. So yeah, I'm excited to continue these conversations, but actually I'm kind of at the beginning point.
Okay.
So what does your ideal school look like?
I think someplace where the students and the parents are just really excited to have their kids be learning and wanting to
any experiences like in your own education that made you super excited, or like what do you think are the things that make a child and a family excited about learning?
Well, I went to public school, and I feel like I just was so fortunate that I love going to school, and I don't know what it was. I think there are a lot of extracurricular activities that I like doing, and really great teachers. I just always felt at home at school, and it felt like a very safe environment also. So those are things that I think I hope that other children have.
Definitely. Okay, I'm just gonna pause and like make sure that the video is going. Okay, great. So you mentioned having excellent teachers, and I think that that's really critical. There's so much research now that links student performance and student success over time to the quality of teacher. And as we move into that phase, it's going to be a top priority to find people who care deeply about their kids and are willing to do whatever it takes to make them feel at home, feel safe, and feel successful. So I definitely think that those are really important ingredients to making a school where kids feel excited and families feel good, because often that's kind of a family's first priority, right? Making sure that their kids are safe and feel at home at the school.
Yeah.
What information do you already have about charter schools?
Just kind of general knowledge. I've been looking to get involved some more. My job, I do a lot of helping adults, and so wanted to start doing something for the youth, and I think it's a great place to get involved in the community. So I know that there are charter schools popping up needing extra community support, and so that's basically, I don't know too much about it yet.
Yeah, well, I think there's a lot of information and some misinformation out there.
Okay.
So I want to, just definitely take some time to clarify a little bit about what our school will be and what it won't be in terms of what the charter will look like. And so basically a charter school, compared to a traditional district school, has a lot more autonomy. So flexibility in terms of hiring teaching staff, flexibility in terms of curriculum, and in terms of school model and structure. So we can have a longer school year, a longer school day, but along with that increased flexibility comes increased accountability. So in our charter, we'll state specific academic goals that we would anticipate reaching based on our instructional program and the work that we'll do with our community and families and students. And then the board will be really responsible for holding me as the school leader accountable to meeting those goals. And every 5 years, our charter will come up for renewal. So unlike a district school that can continue, just continue regardless of progress, either good or bad, a charter school is really dependent on showing and demonstrating results. So if we, for example, weren't meeting the outcomes that we say that we're going to meet with kids and families, our charter would be in jeopardy. So it's really important that as we put the charter together, we are working really hard to make an instructional program that's going to be providing a truly outstanding option for families, and then holding ourselves to that high level, because we know not only that's what kids and families deserve and need, but if we don't do that, we have a lot of skin in the game, and we can potentially be at risk of not having our charter renewed.
Okay.
I'd love to hear a little bit more about your experience with human rights law. Like what does your daily work look like, and kind of what skills have you learned over the past many years of your career?
Sure. Well, day to day really varies. We have a lot of people coming in for intake, and I basically oversee case management, where other attorneys are taking on caseloads, and really everything from working with the client to litigating in court. I think that's helped me be able to speak to different people and look at things kind of with the view of, how can we get the best result for our client, which is something that I think could translate for the school. How could we best get the results for our students?
Yeah, definitely. So as I look for individuals who might be interested in serving on the board, it's going to be really important to find people both with that mindset of, how can we take the resources we have and do the best we can for our kids. And also, specifically, I will be looking for someone with experience in the legal sector, because there are going to be a host of policies and guidelines that we are accountable to, and making sure that we have somebody who's looking through with that lens of, are we being compliant? And so both how can we achieve great things for our kids, but also how can we make sure that we don't get sued and are safe, on that sense. Have you ever served on a board, or do you know anybody who served on a board?
I have not served on a board. I know people who've served on boards for arts programs like the symphony and things like that. Actually I do. My former employer served on an educational board for scholarships for people going to college. So
wonderful.
Yeah.
And when you think of board service, what are some things that might interest you about getting involved in that way?
I think the ability to contribute and make a difference, and be able to see results, and have other people on the board who are also really wanting to be there to make a change and contributing their time, and when they're there, really being there and not, so yeah.
Absolutely. I think it's a really exciting experience to be, I think, especially on a founding board, it's a huge responsibility, but there's definitely, I think it'll be really exciting to be working with people who are motivated to, see this new organization and new school come into being and shape through, speaking about the charter and working with the community to get it approved, ultimately have that impact on what the school looks like. And over time, we will be serving hundreds of children each year, kind of growing our school grade by grade. And so to see that impact over time and see how it's working with kids, I think will be really exciting. For the first year, the board will be a working and active board. So because we will be canvassing in the community, getting interested families and getting them involved, and then becoming really comfortable and well versed in what the charter looks like, and presenting that charter to the district and potentially the county. There will be a pretty high level of just responsibility and communication involved. So what we're looking at is probably about 10 hours per month, and that's a pretty significant time commitment. Is that something that you think you might be interested in doing?
Yeah, definitely.
Wow, great. And do you have any questions about what board service might look like right now?
Yeah. So you mentioned talking to families. Is there anything else that you envision board members doing the first couple years? And you said making sure that laws are complied with, that sort of thing. Anything else, having meetings or?
Definitely. So we'll be meeting, there will be several meetings that are kind of longer, where we dive into the charter and really become comfortable and confident, because each board member will become kind of an expert in a certain part of the charter. so that when we go in front of the district, we can defend the charter and talk comfortably about the different aspects of the instructional program and kind of the different pieces that complement that part of the charter. And then we'll have regular monthly meetings, and the monthly meetings will both be to review and just check on basics like financial statements and making sure the organization is being financially responsible. And then once we actually have students, it will be also looking at academic performance and making sure that the goals of the charter are really being met, and then having kind of that advisory and support role to make sure that if there's something that the school needs to do in order to meet those goals, board members are really actively making sure that those conversations are had. Ultimately, the day-to-day operations of the school will be on me, and I'll be kind of managing those pieces, but the board will play kind of a very important accountability role to make sure that we're doing what we say we're going to do.
Great.
Anything else on your mind before we maybe close out?
Not that I can think of right now. Thank you.
Well, if you're interested, I'd love to send you a little bit more information about Building Excellent Schools. They have an annual report that details how different schools in the network have been doing. And it's really exciting to see that, over the past 15 years, they've helped launch over 60 schools around the country, and we can now see what results those schools are having for their kids. And it kind of makes it a little bit more tangible in terms of what we can then expect and push ourselves towards as this school is founded, as Asirta becomes a reality. Is that something that I could send to you?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Great. And then I'd love to just have maybe another conversation. Are you free 2 weeks from now to just meet up and talk a little bit more in detail about these things?
Yeah, that should work.
Great. Well, thank you very much, Liana.
Thank you.
Really nice to meet with you.